What's up, guys? It's Reese. So this is going to be how to turn a hostile customer into a friend. There's so many situations that everybody gets into where you've got a customer that could be a really, really great client. It's a fantastic job. Everything's gone really well. And you get a text like this. And it's mean. It ruins your day. If you're out with friends or maybe it's an evening at dinner, it ruins the whole thing. And all you're thinking about is this pit feeling in your gut. How are you going to handle this on Monday? You need to text them now. If it's a residential client, then most likely they're going to use their off time as the time to talk to you, regardless of what business hours are. And it can really throw a wrench in your plans. And in a business to where referral business is by far the best business you can get, it can turn a really great project you've worked on for months or weeks or whatever it is and turn it into a hard stop and a burned bridge. And so how do you get over that? I'm going to use an example I actually talked to a buddy about this morning. And again, I'm in stormwater infrastructure now. We do projects up to around $700,000 to $1 million is what we're involved in currently. And we're also bidding projects larger than that. And so, but I did cut my teeth on this kind of stuff in the beginning. And so very familiar with it. But he was talking to me about a customer. He got a text from them this morning. And I'll probably throw it up here in a second. So take a look at this. And it's right there. And it's just bad. I mean, it's a $60,000 project that they did a plant package on, and the whole project went well. You know, there was a couple bumps and hiccups there, nothing out of the norm, but a couple of the plants had died, and he was replacing them, and they weren't really that big of a deal. But there was this one tree that was a $400 tree. It was a big one. It was like an 8-footer, and it was a great deal. And got it at his local site one, planted it. It was 7 months old, and we had gone through freezes and this, that, and the other, and I don't know how well they watered it, and there's a lot of variables that are out of his control at that point, being in the ground that long, and it's starting to die or get a disease or something. And so they are making the argument that they should be able to replace it for free, and the company should warranty that. But anybody that knows this kind of business, a supply center, especially like a Site One or any kind of bulk construction supply store, isn't going to replace those kinds of trees. Just because that's just not how it works unless you buy it from Pikes and you pay double or triple the price a lot of times. And so, which is why they can charge to replace the tree, or they can do it for free because they're charging for those unknown variables up front. And so this customer, like many residential customers, they don't know anything about construction. They don't know how it works. They don't know how anything gets replaced or warranted on the commercial side of things outside of the warranty that you as the contractor provide. And so what do? You don't want to burn the bridge. You don't want to just discontinue the relationship over something stupid, but it also really isn't fair for you to come out of pocket for it. It's really easy to have stuff like this happen. You let one slide, and then they want every single thing replaced, whether it's in warranty or out of warranty. Or what? And this is assuming that that expectation has been set up front and you have a warranty that has been explained to the customer. I don't think you should trust them to just read it on the back of the contract. But what are your two options? Option number one, which I foolishly did for a long time, is hide behind a text message or a phone or whatever, and then come up with some witty, wordy thing that you think is going to convince them that it's not your fault. And the only thing that's going to do is make everybody angry. It's going to make the wife angry, going to make the husband angry. They're going to start telling everybody how you just trying to hide behind your contract, and all because you weren't willing to explain anything. Now, whether it's your fault or not, you should rather be right than wealthy. It's a phrase that I loved hearing growing up from a handful of different mentors, and it served me very well. And so most of this kind of stuff, as long as they're happy up until that point, comes from a lack of understanding. And so how do you get them to understand your point of view? So the best thing to do is, one, do it in person if you can. There's no reason, especially if you've already done that big of a project, that you shouldn't be able to go meet them out on site and then, kind of calm their feathers down. And so what I would do is, okay, you've got this $400 tree. They did about a $4,000 plant package. And so that's again, materials, labor, all that kind of thing. And so take that and compare it to if you were to go buy it from Pikes, which as a contractor is just incredibly stupid if you were going to go do that because the prices are so high. And so they're charging for unknown variables because all they deal with is homeowners on a regular basis. So if you were to go there, and let's say he bought those plants for $2,000, like the material, and so all the plants, whatever, in delivery, and so go get the same quote for the materials you used on this job from Pikes. And let's say Pikes is going to charge $3,600, let's say $4,000 for rounded off numbers. It will be about double the price if you go to a place like that instead of a bulk supply store, because they're charging for warranties and things like that. And so instead, they're trying to argue, well, this person's not replacing a $400 tree and this, that, and the other, and they're mad. But just go over there and go explain to them like, hey guys, I totally understand your concern. This is a very valid concern. If I were you, I'd want this to be replaced as well. But let's just take a look at the cost, for example. And it's not necessarily that you're having to pay $400 to replace this tree, but you saved $1,600 in the very beginning, right up front by doing this, or sorry, $2,000 up front by going to a bulk supply store. And so if I were to just go there in the first place, you would have the same product, but you also would have paid $2,000 more for something that's arbitrary. It's just a warranty. And so now if they did die, or one or two of them died, which is very normal, then they would have to replace those, yes. But you still would have spent an outrageously more amount of money than if we were to have done it the way that I did it. And so it's not necessarily you spent extra money because one died and it's not under warranty and we got to replace it. You saved $2,000 up front because we didn't go get that high-end product in the beginning that wasn't really needed. And so when you start talking about this, it's not that the customer is trying to, in most case scenarios, the customer is not trying to just be mean and steal things out of your pocket. They understand, you probably have a family, you've got kids to feed, or, whatever your situation is. They're not trying to be mean and trying to be malicious. And I think there's too many people that go into these situations and they come in with their arms crossed and they're already mad and they're already expecting there to be an argument. And I don't think that's the case most of the time. And I think if you come at it with a humble and a kind of lay down perspective and you just, hey, here's an example of if we were to do it a different way and why it's beneficial for the way that we did it. And I understand this is a little bit tough, and if it's a $60,000 project and you've done everything else right so far, then try and meet them halfway or something. I don't want you to break even on it or lose money, but try and say, hey, this tree, it's going to cost me $400 out of pocket. We've got labor, and then see if, hey, is there any way we can do this when we come out and do another project? I know you had talked about that next phase. You want to do a concrete pad or something like that. How about I'll charge this, we'll do this at cost. We won't put anything on top of it, and then we'll come out and do this at the same time. So you're kind of getting offset by an additional work, but most times out of 10, they will work with you on that, as long as they understand your perspective. And 9 times out of 10, it comes from a lack of understanding. So if you can get everybody on the same page and you can get them to understand your perspective and the reality of the situation, then I think you're going to have a much smoother sailing process. You're going to maintain your margins, and it's ultimately going to lead to a happy customer and a whole lot of referrals. So hope this helps, and catch you in the next one.